Yes, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Bootcast podcast. I'm your host, Justin, with my co-host, Colby. Colby, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, brother. Not as good as I could be, because as you know, today's Sunday. Liverpool plays Manchester United, and we're doing pretty well. Runner plays in our favor. Looks like we're going to win the game. Freaking Kwanzaa plays it directly to Bruno. Bruno chips it over Keller, and just... Psh.
That goal was really impressive. Like, just like you can look how he doesn't really aim to shoot. He just kind of hits it. But, dude, that Mainu goal was fire.
That was pretty good. That
kid is so fucking good.
He's like 18 years old.
18 years old. That kid is he is him. And then also let's talk about it. That I sent the video. There was no contact from Aaron Wan-Bissaka on Harvey Elliott. So that was not a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, in the moment,
VAR is literally the most worthless thing I've ever seen implemented ever. What is the point?
The point is to just take all. So, like, you don't know what a goal is anymore. Honestly, with VAR, it just like when people score now, like any player, it's like they don't fully celebrate just because they don't know, or they're gonna waste it. And like even everybody's holding their breath now with VAR decisions.
Well, it's like crazy to me is that like VAR was implemented to reduce mistakes, but like on Twitter, in shitty Twitter quality, I can tell that there's no contact from Aaron Wan-Bissaka on Harvey Elliott. So how do I, Joe Schmo, see that, but these paid, experienced professionals can't get that right?
Yeah,
like VAR's got to go, or it's got to be totally redone.
Well, yeah, I mean, with VAR, like it can go in your favor, obviously, like you say today, but I mean, it can also really cut against you. Do you remember when we played Tottenham and they completely missed a onside goal?
Yeah. Oh,
Diaz?
Luis Diaz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So just because somebody said the wrong thing and then came on, was like, no, don't stop the game, keep it going. We made the wrong decision, but keep playing.
It's like stuff like that, and it's like it's gotten to the point where it's like they're clearly just trying to protect their other ref buddies, and like in principle I get that, but it's like your job is to make sure that doesn't happen.
And
it's okay to make mistakes as a ref. That's okay. I think that's totally okay.
It's
okay to hold
the
your
hardest job. There's so much pressure around it. We don't blame. I mean, you can't blame
and you can't
somebody.
see everything from everywhere, but if you're gonna put cameras on the whole field, make that happen. If you can find random people in the crowd who have hit somebody, even though they had a mask on and everything, if you can figure out their identity, I don't understand how you can't see that somebody did touch somebody's legs.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like I'm bewildered.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go on a whole tangent on that if I go. So VAR needs to be redone. But it was a good game. Overall, I thought it was a good game. Jurgen Klopp is still miserable. I love seeing him upset. He's a sore loser. He's the epitome of a sore loser. I've got a bald fraud as a coach, so you know.
You know what's funny about this game is it was so reminiscent of Chelsea midweek against you guys because it was penalty, and then we're kind of coming back, and then he didn't take off Garnacho, but he did put on Mason Mount, and I was like, oh, he's putting on Mount. Seems like a good time for a last-second goal. But,
yeah, dude. And it's like today he put on. Well, it's weird to me too that like I get why you play Rashford, right? But like the kid's clearly struggling. It's clearly hard, and Antony, you know. I can't stand the Brazilian Beyblade, but he actually played well against Chelsea. So I don't understand why you wouldn't give him another go.
Did well against us in the FA Cup as well. So
yeah, I mean, so again, he's not my favorite player. I still hope he leaves, but it seems I don't know what Ten Hag is. I don't think Ten Hag knows what Ten Hag is doing.
Yeah,
he's just winging it and hoping it works out. But overall, it was a good game. It was a more quality game than the Chelsea game because the Chelsea game was the most mid-off I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but it was mid-off, but it was super exciting. That last second goal was awesome. I'm not
such
gonna lie.
A meaty game.
For a neutral, that was awesome.
Dude, such a meaty game.
Cole Palmer, dude, put the team on his back.
Have you seen before we move on, have you seen the still frame from right when Cole Palmer is getting the ball in the open space? There's literally 5 United players like pointed at him. So like 5 people recognize that Cole Palmer, who's probably the only informed Chelsea player, is about to get the ball open at the top of the box, and nobody knows whose man it is to cover him.
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me of like if somebody's like choking on something at a Subway and everybody's standing around like, hey, somebody should do something. It's almost group paralysis of like...
Yeah. I read a thing that was saying that the more people that there are in an incident like that, the less likely it is somebody will actually help.
Oof.
Yeah, so saying like like if there's only one person or maybe two, like somebody's gonna just spring in. But yeah, like the more, because everybody's depending on somebody else in the crowd to do something.
Right. Ugh.
So super weird.
Yeah. There you go.
Science. Okay. All right. So let's start it off. This is episode 17. Favorite number 17.
Oh, this isn't I would say this is my favorite number, 17, but you gotta give this guy respect because this is the right answer, and that's Kevin De Bruyne, dude. Like, just Man City, like, he's gonna go down as a legend for Man City.
Oh, for sure.
Like, even
he'll go down as a Premier League legend.
Absolutely. Even today, dude, he's 32 years old, still banging in goals. I'm pretty sure he put in both goals and assisted to Haaland today. Like, he comes back from an injury that takes months and months and months, grows his hair out, and he's even better. Like, I don't understand this man.
He lost a lot of weight, too. I've looked at him lately, and he looks real, not gaunt, but very lean.
Maybe it's the hair.
Maybe
you
it's
get that
hair,
longer hair, you look a little slimmer.
KDB's insane, and, like, I think we've talked about this before, but, like, in your top 4 midfielders, it's Scholes, KDB, Gerrard, Lampard. What order do you put them?
I think we asked this question before. I put KDB at the top.
You put KDB at number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, no. He's still number 2 for me.
You put Scholes above him?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I did say Scholes above KDB, and I said that only because he's still playing. But I think, dude, that's a tough one. It's
so hard. It's really hard to always like recognize legends when they're like actively playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, KDB's a freak. My number 17, a super technical player. I thought about Ronaldo for Portugal back when he first started, but my player is actually Tobin Heath for the women's United States national team. She is such a baller. She's like one of the most technical players I've ever seen, especially in the women's game. She was a freak, and I'm sad that she's kind of basically retired at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of the few reasons I will watch women's football, especially the United States women's football. So, Tobin Heath, massive shout out.
Massive shout out. I'm sure she's watching right now.
She is.
Dude, here's the number 17 I'm going to put on your plate, though, just because this is fun. Alexis Sanchez, Barcelona player, right? Kind of a fringe player. Doesn't play a lot. Goes to Arsenal. Phenomenal years there. Phenomenal seasons. Tricks Manchester United. Did y'all do a swap for him? Was this the swap for Mkhitaryan? Is that how you guys got Sanchez?
No. Mkhitaryan switched to go to Roma. We had Mkhitaryan at the same time.
Okay. But
I don't remember how we got Sanchez.
Anyways,
it was horrible.
Sanchez was on loads and loads of money because he was awesome the season before, goes to United and just does nothing.
You know, he's the single player that actually ruined the financial like structure.
Wasn't he getting paid like he was like one of the first players to get paid like 500,000 pounds a week.
Yeah. He was on like stupid wages, and he like totally effed up the whole like wage structure, and then that's when we started getting like Pogba and people like those guys on massive wages. But yeah, no, he was so terrible for United. And a lot of people have said, like, if you watch the end of his Arsenal, it's kind of like how you are with Torres. If you kind of watch like the last couple months, you really see him kind of burning out really quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, Arsenal totally duped us. He was terrible. They said like I think it was like in a week of training, he like was like, can I go back to Arsenal? Like, I don't want to be here.
I know.
And we were stuck with that bum forever.
Oh, my goodness.
We got rid of him. He went to, I think he's at what, Inter Milan?
Yeah, I think he's still playing. Yeah, I looked this up. He's still playing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I don't care about that bum. Ruined the club. He was terrible. See you on the way out.
Yeah. You guys have had so many of those. Anyways.
Oh, yeah, dude. We have so many right now. But, hey, you know what? You know what's sad, too? Like, we were talking about number 17s. You said Alexis Sanchez. I'd take Fred, who was also a number 17.
Yeah.
Over Sanchez any day. And Fred was like, ugh.
Yeah, Fred got a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Poor Fred.
Fred, yeah. He would have been a dog in a different time and in a different system. But all right, let's move on. Let's move on to Boots. So you're going to lead this one this week.
Oh, man, no pressure.
Yeah, never.
All right, what do I have here on our list today? We have a lot to get through, man. This could be a very long episode, or maybe I'll cut this into a part 1, part 2. But
okay.
I have here Roteiro came out. You secured yourself a pair. Yes,
I did.
You've played in these boots.
I did. I played in them on Friday.
Okay,
dude. Okay, guys. whoever's out there listening, the Roteiro comes out in like 48 hours. It is 100% the best Predator Elite model you can buy. The Fusion skin is so much softer. The toe box is rounder. It's a little bit wider, so your feet are like I've said, like the Predator Elite. Like if this is me in the Roteiro, right? Like this is my toes in the Roteiro, and they're regular Elite. I'm kind of like this, where I'm kind of like scrunching. So it's not like unbearable. It's not out of the norm. It's just a really narrow toe box. The Roteiro is so much more comfortable. Straight out of the box, played a 90-minute game. No issues, no blisters. You know, I had those horrible blisters from the other Elites. No tape, no nothing, no blisters. Now, I will say 2 caveats. Number one, it's mainly in this area, in the heel area, but this one is starting to like do the little flare a little bit. I noticed when I was playing. So I don't know if it's maybe the material. You know, I Beckham them, so I don't use that last lace hole.
Yeah,
but it does flare a little bit, which I don't remember having in the regular Elites. And also, I don't know if it's the way it's cut or just how it's breaking in, but this was kind of digging in a little bit. And the orange pair didn't do that. So just 2 things to be aware of off the top.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, the Roteiro, I guarantee, like this one is going to be the one that everybody, I know that when they were like, oh, it's leather, everybody's like, oh, I got to have it now. But once people start wearing the Roteiro, this is 100% going to be the one that everybody's going to be after.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they give us another model with the Fusion skin? Like, if you're going to do that, not announce it. Now everybody knows. Everybody knows. So you could easily market maybe like a blackout or a whiteout pair and say, hey, this model, like, you know, just put like F on it for Fusion skin. They already put like what, FT for fold over tongue. So maybe just some whatever, like leather, whatever.
Yeah, I noticed too. I don't know if you've caught this lately that Adidas, I think, is switching out some of their naming systems.
Yeah.
Because I saw on the new, like, you know, the wine color of the Pures, it's called the Copa Pure 2 Elite, which is the one you had with the U-throat tongue. And then it's called the Copa Pure 2 Elite KT, which I'm guessing means knitted tongue.
Knitted tongue.
Yeah. So they dropped the plus. There's no plus on that box. It just says KT now.
It's kind of funny because I saw that too, and I saw the K, and I got excited. And I was going to the description, like, is this kangaroo leather? Are we, you know, slow? Because, like, these brands are weird nowadays. They won't come out and just tell you. They'll just kind of do it, you know? So, but, yeah, knit tongue. Nothing to freak out about. But it is weird. Like, Adidas has been very, what's the word? Very consistent with their naming system. Like, 0.1, 0.2, plus. Plus was laceless. Now we kind of have, like, plus in the area of having lace it, you know, for the Copa model at least. So very weird.
Yeah, they need to, and they've changed their naming system, and I think that hasn't Puma also kind of changed its naming system to be more, because aren't they doing like the pro, the ultimate, the pro, the
Dude, I'd have to
match or whatever.
I'd have to buy Puma takedown. I just remember,
but they got
when
rid of the
like,
points.
God, that was confusing. That was a very like for us, like we know. You know, like 0.1, but like for regular consumers, when you're like 3.2, like, okay, what is that? You know?
Yeah. That's where I think they messed up. I think that, like, with Puma especially, like, because you know how, like, we'll take the Future, for example. They did the 1 point, like the 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, 1. That was the each model. I think they should have switched those numbers. So I think that it should have been the Puma Future, you know, 1.0, then 2.0 was Model 2, and then 3.0, and then 3.2 is your takedown. Like, I think that would make way more sense in people's brain than like 2.3.
So dumb. Yeah, 3.3. So dumb. I like the Nike system. I think that's the easiest way to put it in my head. Is like, this is the elite model. This is the pro. You know what I mean? And pro is a good word. It doesn't seem like you know, first takedown pro. It's fine. Yeah, I can't stand it. But
yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, that's my update on the Roteiro. But I do want to bring up something because our friend Andrew, Footloose Boots, he sent me a message and he said, I got to read it, so this is long. He said, with the Roteiro being so good and the Copa series being so kind of like in both market and sales, he said, should Adidas just do 2 silos, a Pred and the X, which will soon be the F50, because we've seen the F50 Halts has had the F50, so on and so forth. He said with the Pred, you could still have a synthetic, which would be the Hybrid Touch, but then you could also do a leather variation, and it could be the Fusion Skin. And then he said with the F50, it could be your Speed Boot. And he said it's not like the Copa name has that much nostalgia behind it, besides the OG Copa Mundial. He said, why not use the Pred for the old leather heads as well as the new younger generation with the newer tech variant as well?
That is really smart, Andrew. That's something they should look into, because I don't know how many people actually, like, if you're going to get an Adidas boot, you're probably going to get the Speed Boot or you get the Predator. I had the Copa. I enjoyed it. I thought there was still too much heel slippage for my liking. I didn't have the knit tongue version, or I didn't keep that. But yeah, I could easily see marketing wise how it could be smart to completely drop that, at least for now. Maybe bring it back in some way. Like, I know they're doing the Copa Mundial name. I don't know, man. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of agree with him in some sense, but it's something I was talking to James and Lockhart about when they were talking about the silos and the names. And I think that in general, all three brands need to kind of like rename the boots by position / the silo thing. And I think that would help with a lot of confusion, because like for me, if you take, we'll use Adidas in this example, instead of it, some people want to do like Speed Boot, Power Boot, Control Boot, or what is it, Agility Boot, Heritage Boot. Okay, you could basically combine them. So the X line / the F50 line, speed and agility. That's the motto. Then you have the Predator, and it could be power and control.
Okay.
Or power and touch. And then you have the Copa line, and it could be leather and heritage. So you hit all those classic, you hit all the boots by position kind of thing, and you hit all those like kind of taglines that everybody know. But I think it would make the marketing so much more simpler. And so if you already do that, and like you said, if you want to get rid of the Copa, you could just do a leather set of Preds and a synthetic set of Preds. And hell, you could even do a leather set of F50s and a synthetic set of F50s like they used to. So I think that would cut down massively on costs. I think that there's too many boots for each silo anyways. Like 3 top-end Predators is a lot.
It is a lot.
And everybody only wants one version.
Everybody wants the FT version. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one. I mean, we were just looking before we started the podcast. We can find the launch colorway still in the tongue model, or the regular tongue.
And another thing too is like even in the takedowns of the models, it's like how different. I mean, I'm sure the materials are cheaper to do the takedown boots. Otherwise, they wouldn't put them out and make them cheaper. But like for something like a Tiempo, like how different is Fly Touch Plus versus Fly Touch Pro? Because I've heard that those two boots are essentially very similar. So it's almost like, do we need the model below, or can you cut the cost of like a top end boot, $50 and just make no pro model? Like I don't. That's another topic we could get into for another time. But yeah, Andrew, I like the idea, buddy.
Yeah, I definitely, because he sent that to me earlier, and I was like, that makes a ton of sense, especially having the leather model be in the Pred specifically, because most old guys like me, Lockhart, Andrew, Trev Dunphy, everybody who I've talked to, they're just like, I just want a leather Pred. Like, think we brought this up on the last episode. Think about how little hype the Roteiros had leading up to them until J Mike came out and was like, oh yeah, it's leather. And then now everybody's like, I've got to have I've gotten so many messages from this last week when I posted me wearing my Roteiros. Everybody's like, how's the leather? How's the leather? How's the leather? I got to get them. I'm like, dude, like they're awesome. I do love the Roteiros. I know I told you I wasn't going to get another pair. I think I might get another pair because I do like these.
Yeah,
I mean, like I like these that much.
Yeah.
Like I think that these are pretty much going to be the staples for the rest of the season. Maybe the year. But I'm going to wear these into the ground for sure. But I think that if you do leather for that, and then with kids, whoever, you can have the hybrid touches and start. And that way, I think you narrow down the market. And if you make the colorway in leather and the colorway in hybrid touch, it makes more available to people. So if somebody misses out on one, more than likely they'll be okay getting the other.
Right.
You have some people like Boot Wizard who's vegan, so he'd probably only stick with the hybrid touch. But it'd be cool if you could get a hybrid touch Roteiro if you like that colorway.
Right. Exactly.
So that's where I'm at with that. Long-winded answer.
Yeah. But great suggestion. All right, man. Let's move on to our next topic. The Vapor 16 picks have been released through Footy Headlines. So you've essentially seen like the upper, the sole plate. What are your thoughts on those Vapor 16s?
They look massively aggressive. I'm really curious to see because it looks like the air zoom is still in the forefoot under those spikes. That like the spine of spikes, and it also looks like they put the air zoom in the heel too. But that sole plate in particular has me really hyped because it reminds me of the 2015 F50. And when we did our crazy Frankenboot episode, that's the sole plate I picked because I loved that sole plate. I know it wasn't everybody's favorite because it was heavier, but it's a really good sole plate. Yeah,
this looks hella more aggressive. I'm looking at it right now. Looks like, some chevrons, and then I want to say that the Vapor 15 had some of those. Nike kind of went through this phase where they want the, I want to say like, what do you call it? It's not triangle, but it's like a
TriStar,
like a cross. TriStar. Thank you. Yeah. So they had some of those on them. These look hella more aggressive. I won't be wearing them. Because as you know, if you listen to this podcast, I've torn my ACL twice in Vapors, so I will most likely be staying away. They look a little bit on the more narrow side as well.
Yeah, they remind me of you remember the Vapor 8 and Vapor 9 sole plates? That air zoom looks almost inspired by those long, super thin Vapor blades. Like those. I mean, the pictures I've seen from the leaks, those look like long studs.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I know that players will change their sole plates. I know we've talked about the UA Shadow Pro 2, saying that right, UA Shadow Pro 2, how they've gone with the clone sole plate, Eddie Nketiah and some other pro players because they don't want that that kind of bladed style studs. Do you think pros will keep to this sole plate? Do you think they'll switch it up a little bit?
I think you'll have some that keep it, but I think overall, a lot of we've kind of mentioned it before, but a lot of Nike players like that. What Tiempo sole plate is it? Is it the Legend 4 sole plate that they all seem the Legend 3 and Legend 4 sole plate? Like that they all wear?
Well, even Noah did a boot. It wasn't a Vapor, but it was a GT2. It was John Stones's, and I saw the bottom of that thing, and that looked a lot like a Tiempo 4 type style.
And that's the sole plate. And then I saw somebody posted, maybe it was BC Boots, posted a player now, like a young player now, and he has that. I'm like, you weren't even alive when this thing was a sole plate, But I knew Busquets was big on wearing that sole plate even throughout the years. But a lot of pro players really seem to gravitate to that specific sole plate, right? Even on Vapors, on GTs, on whatever they wear, and they all wear what is it, SG boots. So how much do those, those? I was gonna say, how much are they really digging in?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, again, I think we've talked about this. We talked about this with Lockhart on, where he said, sometimes like you just have to change the studs. Like you have to change something. Maybe it was you that said this actually. But every generation, you've just got to make it a little different, and they just decided to go more aggressive. Puma did it with their future model, where they kind of had that half conical, and they just said, no, F it. Like we're going full like chevron, ultra aggressive. On the next one we see, it's probably going to go back to half conical.
Yeah, it's change for the sake of change, unless you're Adidas. Adidas is the only brand, and I made my Roteiro short, and I kind of like made a quick jab at it. But Adidas basically, since the F50 came out, that triangle sole plate stud pattern has been on everything. They may be more narrow triangles, they may be more rounded, they may be more TriStar, whatever the shape. But it's always the exact same layout on all their silos.
Yeah, speaking of, dude, they're doing that on their new F50s, the, what is it called, Speed Frame 360 or whatever. That looks good. I really like the way that sole plate looks.
Yeah, the boots that...
Sprint Frame 360.
Sprint Frame, that's what it's called. Yeah, thank you. The boots that Charles has done, both of them look really interesting.
I know. That might get me back into the speed boot game, honestly.
Do you think so?
I think so. He did show that it bunched up around the lacing a bit. And I'm not a fan of that, but I don't know if that's because they have an early model. But
yeah, and it could just be Charles's foot too.
Don't give you give Charles so much shit. Charles, we love you, dude.
No, of course we love him.
Sorry,
but I'm saying
Justin gives you so much
there's
shit.
certain boots that just don't fit cert. Like it may fit weird on him versus like you love the GX2.
I love the GX2.
You
Yeah.
absolutely are loving it. And I absolutely cannot stand that boot. Noah loves that boot. I cannot stand wearing that boot. It just does not fit.
So the fat guy boot.
So I'm wondering like as much as you like and are interested in those new F50s, if honestly they'll even really fit you.
Yeah, probably not. Nothing fits.
I was gonna say I'm curious
Cinderella
to see too. That now that we're talking about this, I'm curious to see if the new Vapor will still be wider. Like, because I feel like the 15 is one that's out right now, right? Yeah, okay. I feel like overall the 15 is kind of a wider Vapor, especially compared to like the 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
It's a lot thicker of a boot. So I'm really curious to see if the 16 is going to keep evolving from the 15, or if it's going to kind of go back to the 14.
I think it's going back. From what I've seen, it looks like a skinny little boot.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. They're still keeping up with the big Air graphic. But I think on the heel, it's actually the most tasteful one.
Yeah. They don't want you to forget. They don't want you to forget there's air in there.
Dude, that's Nike, bro. They have to plaster it.
Speaking of Nike, segue into our next topic. The Tiempo 10 30th year anniversary.
Oh, lead us off. This is your boot.
This was my boot. So I saw pictures of this. It doesn't look bad. I prefer. Okay, so here's my deal with Nike. So you're gonna release a special edition 30-year Tiempo 10 boot. Okay,
two of them. We gotta clear that up. There's two versions.
Exactly, two. And this is what I'm getting to. So for us, like old school Tiempo guys, it's not kangaroo leather. So for the most part, probably not that interested in it. But there's two models. There's going to be a limited edition white with a green swoosh, which looks a lot like the kind of more classic style Tiempo Legend 4 white green, right? It looks really good. They've changed on the this is a Fly Touch Pro, but like with the Fly Touch Plus, Fly Touch Pro, you kind of have like the synthetic lines going this way. With these, it looks more like, and I'll put a picture up here on screen. It looks like the kind of stitching pattern of like the old school Tiempos, right? So instead of it being like this, it's going to look more like a stitching pattern of an old style like Tiempo Legend 4 on the top, which is awesome. It's still probably going to feel exactly the same as regular Fly Touch Plus. It'd be cool if they somehow adjusted the material a little bit to make it a little bit softer. Kind of like they did with the New Balance Tequila Plus on the that model, like similar kind of material but a little softer. So we'll see, man. I like the way the white and green looks. I'm really curious about it. I'm sure it's just going to be a regular old Tiempo Legend 10. What are your thoughts on it?
What's the other one? So the white and green is supposed to be like the super limited one, right?
That's a super limited one. The other one is like a greenish teal looking and then a white swoosh.
Oh, so it's almost like flipped.
Yeah, it's flipped.
Okay, cool. No, I mean, I think it's like a cool. I've seen the white ones especially, and I think that those look absolute class. They remind me of that Legend 4. But again, it's like I don't think that it's different enough to warrant really wanting them. Knowing Nike, it's going to come in its own cool little box, I'm sure. And what? That's about it.
That's
maybe
about it.
Numbered.
And this is where, like you're saying with the Predator, where the Roteiro's like, hey, look, this is leather. This is different material on the top, which like warrants more interest in it. With the Tiempo, it's just a skin. You're just putting a skin on it and calling it a day. So like, what incentive do I have as like a Tiempo head for my whole life essentially to want to even have anything to do with this, other than, hey, that's a cool colorway. Hey, that's limited. You're only going to release so many pairs, so maybe I'll get lucky enough to get one.
Yeah, and spend extra. Well, right. It's also like the same thing with that. Was it the 25-year Mercurial that came out last year, where they did like the super special one in that weird stupid shaped box was like the silver, and then they did the other silver one, and it was like the Superfly was pink and the regular one was green. But even on like the ones with the weird box, there was nothing different about them. Right. There's just a couple of homages to old Mercurial logos. That's about it. So it's like, it's cool that they're doing kind of like a special edition version and then a regular color. But again, what are you doing to warrant? What is special about it? fake stitching pattern? Is that it? I mean, is that going to change how the boot feels?
I doubt it, but hopefully it's more than we actually think. And like they probably already had this in motion, but they've already kind of let down a lot of old school Tiempo fans like myself in general, just by switching the material and calling it the same thing. So it would have been really cool to do, like, even if you had to take the base of a Nike Premier 3 and use it as like whatever leather's on there now, whether it's calf or whatever, and just use that, put some knit on it, like use a different sole plate, and then put that out, people would be lining up to buy that boot. I don't understand why they don't just change it up a little bit. Don't reskin it. It's cool that you put like a little stitching pattern on there, but it's still essentially going to be the same boot.
Yeah, there has to be something in the manufacturing process with this 10 that does not allow them to put leather to it. Like there has to be something that they've done or do, because I've seen the new Premier is in that same colorway, the white with the green swoosh. So something about that boot, whether it's that maybe it's the internal layer that they use, I don't know, but there has to be a specific reason. I don't have mine anymore. Like a specific reason that they cannot use leather besides just them saying like, oh yeah, we're not doing leather.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't understand it myself. I'll definitely give them a look if I can get the white ones. Look really good. If there was a Tiempo 10, I would get, and if they're not significantly more than the regular price Tiempos, which this is how I know that the Tiempo 10 isn't doing well, right? You can still get this colorway. Which is the Nike Peak Ready pack that was released, I want to say last year. You can still get those in like regular person pair, like not 11s, not 12. You can still get them in 9.5s, 9s, 10s for well under retail. You can get those for like $180 right now on certain sites. So I know that they're not flying off store shelves.
Well, I've seen even the launch colorway, which I think was the Ready Pack, in kind of scattered sizes throughout different sites. Somebody had, granted, they were a little bit smaller sizes. It was like 6.5 to, I think it was like 7.5. They had them for like $92.
Yeah. Nobody's buying these, dude.
No. Again, the Tiempo and the Copa lines have both just kind of come to a place where I think with the leather, they've already kind of done as much as they can, especially Nike, who's always trying to, push ingenuity and we got to do something different. I think that they've kind of come as far as they can. So it's like I told you before when we talked about the 10, just let it die. Let it ride off into the sunset and come up with something new. Bring a new name. And, like I've had disagreements and some people are like, well, if they called it the CTR 3, I'm like, I don't think people care about that name either.
Yeah.
Like overall, I don't think anybody cares about that name. But if they want to come up with some other word, and it could literally be the Tiempo 11, in spirit, the spiritual successor, just give it a different name. Right. Just let the Tiempo name ride off. It was a good run. It had decades long. Let it have been leather, and then they should have been done.
I think like Nike Fly Touch or something, just like something to
ode
to.
Yeah, Fly Touch. You could have called it Fly Touch. Cool.
You could have called it Fly Touch.
Yeah, the Nike Fly Touch. Boom.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but the white and green looks super class. The weird tealish green, it's interesting looking, but it's just, I don't know. I need to see it in person.
Yeah. All right, man. Moving on to our next topic, which is April 9th for Adidas. I have your Roteiros scheduled to release, right? We have the supposed Trent Alexander-Arnold boots for Adidas, the white with the red tongue and the red Adidas stripes. And then we have this almost like white gold model that looks similar to the Generation Pred, but instead of the spots being like greenish, with the purple, you've got like a white with gold. So according to Footy Headlines, like all three of those models have the same date of April 9th. I doubt they're going to come out that way. That'd be ridiculous. But anyways, we've already beat a dead horse here with talking about how many colorways have actually come out for the Predator. And now we're going to have 3 more on the same day. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Dude, I don't think that's going to happen in all seriousness. I know Footy Headlines, is usually kind of spot on, but we've seen something's going on at Adidas, especially with releases, because their releases are kind of all over the place, especially with the Preds. You know, the Yamamoto, the Y3s that came out, I think that weren't they supposed to come out back in like February? And then they got pushed, and then they got pushed, and they just came out. And then the Roteiro, I think that the Roteiro is the only boot that's supposed to come out on the 9th. Maybe that white and gold one, maybe, because the Roteiro's only in the tongue model, and that white and gold one seems to be only in the, probably going to be the laceless and the laced model. And I still don't know what's going on with those Trent ones, bro. Like that whole thing I told you last week, that whole kind of situation really pisses me off. And so I don't, maybe that's going to be an even more limited pair, but like on Adidas, you have it marked for the Roteiro. Like I have it ready to go to notify me. Right. No other boot has popped up. We've seen Trent's, I think on Singaporean Adidas. And then I don't know where the hell those white and gold ones came from. They got posted on April 1st, so that's why I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody was doing some really clever.
Be, because it is a layer over layer of the generation Pred, so possible, right? Although I don't hate it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate that boot.
No, yeah, it's not the worst, but the Trent one is the weird one because again he and I loved how they did it with him, especially at the start of the season.
Because it was a third party that like made that with Adidas.
Yes,
right? It wasn't actually Adidas.
Yeah, I think it was like a one of one pair, and it was just like I think Trent only did he wear them more than that game, or did he just wear it that game and then he switched to the orange ones? I think he wore that game and then he switched
to the orange ones. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So see, I don't even think they were made to be worn like that. So it's really weird. I don't know if this is one of those moments where Adidas didn't realize maybe that much hype. And once they heard it, they're like, "Hey, we gotta like get this going," because everybody has been clamoring for that boot, and it's literally just the white Preds with the red tongue and the red swoosh,
right? It's basically like stripes. What every model essentially should be with just a different color. You know what I mean? Like we talked about this with Noah, but yeah. So that's just something I wanted to bring up. I'm sure it's just gonna be the Roteiros, like you say. Maybe they'll surprise us and throw another one in there, but. Like, who knows, dude? I don't know, like why they're doing this, why there's so many coming out. They're making Puma look reasonable here.
Yeah,
Adidas is.
Yeah, and okay. I want to present this question to you because you're in the market of shopping for new boots, and you really like to take your time buying boots, and I know that. Like, you really like to kind of let it saturate and figure it out. Like, are you getting to the point where almost like paralysis by choice when it comes to all these Preds? Like, is it almost too daunting for you as a consumer where you're like, I don't know which one I want, I don't know which color I want to get? Like, how do you feel?
There's been so much. Okay, let me back up here. To answer your question, yes, I do feel paralysis for so many options, and it's so many options in such a short amount of time, and so my brain is looking at one thing when a new thing is being presented to me. So I've been looking in the market for either some of the whiteout Predators or the orange ones that you have. And now you presented me with Trent boots as well as these white golds. And those both look awesome too. And so where I would have bought a pair maybe a week ago, it's like, okay, well, let me see like what happens on April 9th. Let me see what happens on April 15th. And you're pretty much stagnating me to where I don't want to buy because of FOMO, which I'm assuming a lot of other people would have as well.
Yeah, I see. That's what I worry too, is that you're going to finally be like, okay, I'll pull the trigger. I'm going to buy this one. And you know, it's how it always works out. Literally the next day, the Trent boots are going to come out, or another pair that you like is going to come out. And so it's getting daunting because the FT especially is already so hard to get. And scalpers are really hitting the FT hard, and the sneaker market has hit it hard. So it's really weird to me that Adidas is just pushing so hard. Yeah. Like so hard.
Yeah. Well, I think I know that a lot of people are getting tired of it, especially people that are in the boot world. I know people in our boot group are getting really fed up with it. So yeah, I think that at this point it's like how did a boot that released in early 2024, like you've just completely outmilked it by April, you know?
Yeah. Because I mean, there's we were talking about this, but there's more colorways already for this boot than the Mania had in its entire 2-year lifespan.
Yeah,
more than the Mania. I think it's getting up there because I know the Absolute had a lot of colorways, but a lot of them were like for individual people. But I mean, I'm just like, dude, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. And what's funny is it's almost like warping my mind to where I really want to get a good colorway of the Tequila V7 pluses, but or is it
V4?
V4, thank you. Furon V7. The I want to get a pair of the Tequila V4 Plus, but I feel like, well, I don't like that navy pair. I don't. The one that they had that was a white with a black in. They only released some outlets only released those in the low model, right? So I'm waiting and finally, and we'll get into this in a minute, but Unisport kind of teases it's either a Furon or a Tequila that's coming out tomorrow, right? And I'm like, ooh, a new colorway for New Balance that have only had like 2 since they updated the Furon and the Tequila. So it's kind of funny because I'm like, man, New Balance, let's go. Like, I need some more colorways. So it's like, is New Balance actually being slow, or is my brain being warped by Adidas for how many colorways that they've already given me?
Oh, I definitely think that Adidas is definitely, and it's mainly the Pred. Like, I don't feel like the X is getting too many colorways.
Yeah,
the
Copa hasn't.
Yeah. I don't ever really count the whiteout/blackouts and for any brand because, those always kind of go out at once. But even like, you look at the Mercurial. I remember the Mercurial used to pump out colorways, it felt like.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, everybody's kind of wearing the same pack. Like, some people are just, we'll get into it in a little bit, but some people are just now barely switching into the MDS 8s. Garnacho's still wearing the MDS 7s. Rashford, I think, is still wearing the Bone pair. Yeah. So it's just like, it's kind of all over the place. And Nike doesn't really seem to be pushing too hard to get new colorways out. But the Predator alone. And again, the weird thing to me is that the Predator, they're making specific colorways like the Generation Pred for the laced and the laceless. Not the FT, though. And those models are not selling at all in any colorway.
Yeah. Yeah,
you can get the launch orange ones, the teaser ones. You can still get those in every size.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at those right now because they are going sub $200. So
yeah.
And so they don't release anything good on April 9th. I'm probably going to pull the trigger on those.
And it's like, April 9th, the Roteiro. And that, again, like you as a consumer, April 9th, you have the Roteiros coming out. You might have the Trent boots coming out. You might have those white and gold ones. Tomorrow you might have those green Tequilas. Right. And then and then if you miss out, Unisport has the Roteiros coming out on the 12th. So you're kind of all over the place. You really have to try to figure out, like, as a consumer, it's not figuring out what's the best boot for you. It's trying to figure out where's the best outlet to get maybe a colorway that I kind of like. And that's insane to me.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Let's shift topics here again. And you kind of already brought it up. So MDS 8s, Mercurial Dream Speed 8s, right? We noticed that Ronaldo wasn't wearing those when they first came out. And those have mostly been promoted for Cristiano Ronaldo since the beginning of the Mercurial Dream Speed. So now he's finally wearing them. He's cut them just like his other colorway. I'm trying to remember if that might have been Mad Ready or Peak Ready. He's cutting his own knit now. And the swoosh on the MDS 8s has been actually falling off. I think they showed Bruno was wearing them. The swoosh is kind of falling off. They say it's because players heat up their boots before wearing them. So on this particular model, that Nike swoosh is falling off. So I want to ask you, well, one, I know that you're probably happy that Ronnie's wearing them, but is the quality just really dipping here at Nike that with these players, like when the swoosh is coming off your Nike boot, I mean, that's kind of a red flag.
Embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Especially for Mr. Nike himself. You know what I mean? I struggle really hard for that to be a quality excuse from Nike, especially with Ronnie and Bruno. Is because Ronnie is pretty much the guy who, I don't want to say came up with the hot water trick, but he kind of massively popularized the hot water trick back with the Superfly 2. And if you go watch any pro player, like I watch Ryan Tafazzoli, and he'll go into the changing room a lot. They have that steamer thing, like dead center.
Hydrocular,
Yeah, and they put all their boots in there, and that's what it's like. So it's like every brand goes and works with these teams, so they know that these players are gonna do it. They're gonna change boots. They got to do that kind of stuff. So why in God's name is somehow this green one the only one that can't withstand it. And why is the Nike swoosh the only part of the boot that can't withstand it?
They use the cheaper glue, dude. Can't heat up that glue.
Like I thought that was made into the colorway. I didn't realize it was like a sticker on top.
Yeah, I don't know. And like it infuriates me even more is that that's not exactly like a limited edition, but that is a special edition. You know what I mean? So like you as a consumer see that and you're like, I paid freaking what, like $250, $275, $300 for some of these boots, and like they're falling apart. Like what the hell?
Yeah, dude. Like imagine if I wore my Roteiros, I kicked the ball once and the tongue flew off with it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what the is it?
Right.
And again, you have the Mr. Nike, like if for it to happen to anyone, but you found the poster boy of Nike for that to happen to. I don't know. I think Adidas, Nike is, they came up with a chat GBT excuse out of their ass. There's no way that's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So we're gonna have to see. I think going back to Andrew's question from earlier, I wonder if they did cut a lot of these silos to 2 per brand, kind of like, I don't want to say like New Balance is doing because they do have the 442, but if they could just up the quality so much more, like, look, you don't even have like to worry about this 3rd silo. Just please make the quality of like your top 2 silos something that will like last, and the comfort and the lockdown, and just focus on all the things that we actually care about as consumers.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's, and I in my head, I almost just asked you like, oh, do you think 2 silos would work, or like, are they different enough? But I mean, honestly, you look at the Tequila and the Furon, they're both knit, but they're different enough. I think that you could have the GX2 and the Mercurials. There's your 2, and then I think you'd do the Predator and the X, and there's your 2. Puma, Puma just needs to start scratch. Puma needs to start from scratch on all their boots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree. I agree. I mean, I think that some of these brands too, instead of trying to push out quantity, if you pushed out, of how many boots they flood the market with, if they pushed out, 2 models and gave actual good numbers to that, people would buy them up, and you would still be on that. I mean, because, you look at like some of the New Balance Tequilas, the lows especially, and even though they came out later and there wasn't a ton of colorways, those are still kind of harder to find.
Right.
Because not a lot of people knew about them, and then when people found out about them, they kind of swooped them all up. So
yeah, New Balance I think is ironically, like, I think it's a part of not wanting to lose much money. The way that they've actually come out and marketed their 2 brands is like, one, you're saving money essentially by making 2 silos. You have the 442. I'm not discounting that, but you're making 2 primary silos that you're actually trying to market to people. And then instead of going nuts and just saying like, here's the new thing, here's a new sole plate, a new upper, buy the new thing, they've just made slight tweaks to both of those models and resold them as a plus, and they've still kept the 2. So, and they're not going crazy with their colorways. So in a way of being like in this boot market, a smaller brand, like, you've actually sort of found a very good formula for a way to, 1, make consumers happy, and 2, not give them decision paralysis.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I mean, you put it there perfectly. Like, genuinely, I think that's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. So all the other brands, just do what New Balance is doing.
Yeah. Copy the small brand.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm curious to see, because back to what we were talking about, like, something's going on with Ronaldo and Nike, because he's not changing colorways, even more so than he already did. His boots are kind of falling apart constantly. He's tearing up the collar. So, like, he's going through something, but we don't know what it is.
Is that functional, him cutting that knit collar, or is that to kind of make Nike look bad? Like, what is the component there?
Because the collar is so minimal now. It's not like the old fours.
Is that really bothering your ankle that much, or are you just cutting that to be like, I don't like this branding? I don't.
Maybe. I mean, and we don't know. It could be a superstition thing for him. It could just be like, hey, I mean, he's a different kind of guy. He could just be like, oh, I like the way this looks. Like, I like it better. Yeah. We really don't know, but I'm sure he's not happy with those boots.
Right.
And I think that the Dream Speed kind of thing I think it's run its course.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it is anymore.
Yeah. Fast and Furious had 10 movies. Maybe the Mercurial Dream Speed needs to have eight boots.
Jeez, yeah.
People keep going to see them, man. They'll keep making it.
They're so good.
Dude, we have officially gone through our entire list. We talked about, okay, we kind of touched on it, but like we can end with this. The Unisport New Balance collaboration, right? Mm-hmm. If you've seen the video, it's essentially just going through like greenish ribbon, through a little portal looking thing. And by the time this podcast goes up, we'll all know what the collaboration was. What do you think about New Balance partnering with Unisport? We've seen Unisport do this before, a lot of times with Puma. Like we saw the Puma astronaut boots. We saw the Puma Don't Run Out of Ink boots. I can't remember exactly what the name of that was.
Yeah, Puma's done a couple collabs over the years with Unisport, and Adidas did that. What was that Adidas one they did? It was like the F50, and it was like the Chameleon, but the crazy fast. You remember?
I don't think I remember those.
Oh, they were like that weird purple one, and then they had like the chevron and Sunwarm, and it was like orange on one side and like a greenish blue.
Yeah.
So Unisport is known to do weird collaborations, but a collab with New Balance really seems out of left field for me.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that I'm sure New Balance had to probably pay some money to get Unisport, or vice versa. Unisport might have had to pay some money to get New Balance.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't necessarily think this was a collab, but it might have been like early 2022. They did this. It was all a white base and was very light, kind of like pastel colors. And for that 442, New Balance was Unisport was like the only place I could get those. So I have.
Oh yeah, the white pastel ones. Yes, you had a pair.
Yes, I did. I love those.
Yeah, because they did the regular and the leather ones too. Okay, yeah, I remember that pack. Yeah, I didn't know that Unisport was the only one who did those.
Yeah, I couldn't find. Well, maybe other places had them. I couldn't get them though. So,
but that's the same thing with the white and the black tequila. That's the only place I can find the white and black tequila, and the low model is Unisport. So maybe that's a sign that Unisport has something going on with New Balance. Maybe they are done with their Puma stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't mind buying stuff from Unisport. Obviously, we're in the States, so it makes things a little bit more expensive with shipping. And then like returning things that don't fit, just forget it. So just double check that like your foot does fit into what you're actually ordering. So if I'm ordering anything from Unisport, whether it's like a special edition or like a collab like this, like I've already tried on the boot somewhere so that I don't get, screwed over. So
yeah, I mean, I've ordered a couple things and normally I don't have issues with these GXs in the center. The SG pair I bought, it was a pain in the butt dealing with Unisport. So right now I'm kind of like a jaded girlfriend, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with you right now. I don't want to talk to you.
And that's how I feel, honestly. And I feel bad saying that like a retailer is essentially keeping me from buying like a really cool collab. Like they could have this awesome green tequila, and it's like, ooh, I really want that, but am I going to pay like the extra money for shipping and it full price? And
see, that's the thing too. Like, again, they're a business, and we both know that. And it is, I tried not to like super be hard on them because they are in a different part of the world. Right. It's not, they can't control that. So I try to give them a pass, but okay, that's it. That's all I'll say. I hold them, they're a company, so they're still good here to make business, and I get what they're doing. But being in the States, I will try to get more stateside retailers because it's quicker, cheaper, and faster for me. So that's where I'll leave that.
Right. Here's something else I'll say about Unisport. And it's nothing bad. And like you said, it is a business. And then when they do collab on things, like we've talked about before, right? So like, let's say tomorrow they make green Furons, green tequilas. They're awesome. If they're still in my size in 4 months, they're still probably going to be full price. Because I know with their Puma collabs, with those astronaut boots, they are still probably sitting there in my size, full price. And I know on Instagram they did one day where they said like, hey, tag your friend, like this post, like write us a reason why you want these boots. And I went to their website and said, oh, cool, like maybe they're actually discounted. Nope, still completely full price on there. They're probably, a lot of models still available.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe it's a pride thing. We don't really know. Nobody wants to to feel like the work that they've put in is not worth what they think it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think that the whole thing with the Unisport, that collab with Puma especially, is they did so many collabs so quickly, and Puma is not the, like, those models are not the most desirable overall.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it was always going to be hard to sell every size of even special collabs when people aren't really buying Puma already at the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Unisport came out with a Pred, it would sell out within seconds.
Yeah.
But, you know, if Puma came out with another King tomorrow, probably 2 years from now, it'll still be full price and it'll probably still be sitting there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. You have any questions? Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, man, no. It's been a good episode. We covered a lot of topics in a short amount of time. So
yeah, we hit it tonight.
Kept it under an hour.
I will say before we go, the Precision Point 1 turfs holding up great. Still haven't come off feet. I got a game tomorrow, so I'll check back in next week. And like I said, I think I'm gonna stick with the Roteiros. I definitely am really liking these. I'm hoping that somehow I can channel my inner Jude Bellingham and actually do well in outdoor. But I will keep y'all posted with updates on the Roteiro. GXers are still holding up, I'm sure.
GXers are still holding up. Yep.
There we go. That's what I love to hear. All right, Colby, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Kicking with Colbs on Instagram, at Kicking with Colbs on YouTube. So maybe one day I'll post a video. We'll see.
Yeah. And you can find me at Texas Cleat Collector on Instagram. And I just started a new series called the 60-Second Breakdown. I made a YouTube channel, and so I started posting on YouTube. So be on the lookout. The Roteiro's the first one, and I'm going to try to come out with more as time goes on to fill in for Colby while he is missing until he comes back to us.
Yeah, one day. It was
so
good,
if you guys have any questions, please leave them down. Or if you have any topics, send me a DM, send us a comment. We like those because it helps the episode. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you guys. Thank y'all.
There's the balloons.